As a fan of classic CRPGs, you grew up playing Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, and Neverwinter Nights. I can't help but love Elcat's isometric CRPGs. Just how much I love them, however, depends on the amount of free time I have. Their prior CRPGs based in the Pathfinder universe, Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous, have their flaws, but their epic scope and ambition made them easy to forgive once I was hooked. Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader continues that time-devouring trend, albeit this time within a distinctly gothic, grimdark sci-fi universe. For that reason, the prospect of a Nintendo Switch 2 version, which I could pick up and put down whenever I had the time, was incredibly tempting, despite having sunk 60 hours exploring the Coronis Expanse and the Xbox Series port already. Like all good CRPGs, there is scope for replayability by rolling a different character class, experiencing the impact of tackling missions in a different order, adventuring with a different group of companions, making different major decisions at the end of each act, and role-playing a more ruthless or evil character. Not that I ever do. Having now sunk another 24 hours into Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader on the Nintendo Switch 2, the results are predictably hit and miss given the size of this game and some hardware limitations. Portability always requires sacrifice, especially when dealing with a small screen in a menu and text-heavy game. On the upside, the outcome is mostly positive if affordable and optimized portable play is your goal. If, however, you intend to make use of the Switch 2's hybrid nature and occasionally play it on a 4K TV, the results are less impressive. Starting with the good, Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader on the Nintendo Switch 2 is feature complete, with no gameplay compromises, and it's cheap. It is every bit as massive and engaging as the PC version or other current-gen console ports, and the DLC expansions are arriving soon. The platform has no shortage of lengthy Nintendo first-party adventures and third-party JRPGs, but this is a rare Western-styled CRPG for fans of the genre. The other options being literal classics like Beamdogs and Aspyr's remastered D&D IP, Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, and Neverwinter Nights. Isometric exploration, tactical turn-based battles, dialogue choices with abundant skill checks, more exposition than anyone needs, and major choices that alter later acts. It's all accounted for. It took a post-launch patch or two, but Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader on the Nintendo Switch 2 runs as well, if not better, than the PC version on the Steam Deck and original ROG Ally, my only other points of handheld comparison. On the handheld screen, enabling TAA produces a slightly softer but less noisy image, while the frame rate sticks to the 30 FPS target outside of a few rapidly panning cutscenes with alpha effects. Coupled with a UI and controller scheme developed and refined for the current-gen consoles, it feels more than responsive enough for general exploration and the turn-based combat. Even the load times are respectable, albeit a little longer than on the other consoles. There are, however, 3 issues of note, 1 subjective and 2 with gameplay implications. When docking the Nintendo Switch 2 and connecting to a 4K TV, you are getting a better experience than the Steam Deck or ROG Ally is capable of. However, the image is notably blurrier than when playing on even the budget Xbox Series S, especially when dynamic resolution scaling kicks in, and it appears to lack some post-processing effects that leave environments looking too bright and lacking depth. Of course, visual quality is subjective, and the ability to easily suspend, resume, or continue your game away from the TV is a major perk. More problematic are the awkwardly overlapping menus, tooltip boxes, and tiny text when playing in handheld mode. Navigating exposition-heavy dialogue menus, cycling between environmental text descriptions, and comparing items in the inventory is a core part of any CRPG, and incredibly frustrating on a small display. One potential solution is using a Joy-Con 2 as a mouse, but the implementation is an all-or-nothing approach. The gamepad UI is replaced by icons around the screen, and almost every aspect of the game is controlled by the mouse, slowing down the pace and making actions like simple camera control frustrating. Ultimately, you'll need to consider how you plan to play Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader on the Nintendo Switch 2. If you play mostly in portable mode, it is an impressive version that looks and performs better than all but the most high-powered handheld PCs. The text size and limited screen space is an issue, but the rest of the port is solid and it looks good on a small screen. If, on the other hand, you alternate between portable and docked play, or if your Nintendo Switch 2 lives under the TV most of the time, Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader looks rough in comparison to other current-gen console ports, and the mouse controls need more refining. All that said, if the Nintendo Switch 2 is your only console, CRPG fans should jump on the opportunity regardless.
If you've got this far, please consider giving the video a like and maybe subscribing to our channel, as it helps us grow.